Hi, Kendria. Just going over your second week and just answering your questions from last week's critique. What in your image when I talked about lighting up the photos of the eyes match more? You can do a couple of things. You can do like a selective lasso, and you can do selective lighting over that area, like with your levels or with your midtones. It you make it very very subtle, and when you do your selective lasso, make sure that you feather up to about 50 pixels, and then that way you're not you're feathering out that area so that it's not you know so obvious. And like I said, you don't do very much. You don't want it to look like the exact same in that image. You don't want the other eye to look the exact same as the one on the other side, because it is the way the lighting is. It's just trying to kind of match the eye as close as you can to the other one. There's an action by MCP Actions called Eye Doctor, and that's a really good one. I use that very subtly, because you don't want eyes to look glassy. That is very, very true. But it's a great action that sometimes helps with that stuff. So yeah, that's probably what I would do in that situation. And if it's something I couldn't fix, then it wouldn't be one that I would give to a client. Just just business side of things. I know you're not really interested in that, but yeah. I think sometimes you spend so much time going, oh, but I love it, oh, but I love it, but really saving the ones that you actually love without any kind of hang-ups, if that makes any sense. And that'll keep you from editing every single shot that you take on your camera. Anyway, and then number two, as far as softening the picture from last week, as far as softening skin, again, MCP is very good with their skin softening actions. I actually don't try to use them too much, because I don't want my people to look plastic. So that's also something to think about. And as far as my favorite actions used, I kind of create my own. So it's not hard to create a haze, and you can totally Google that. You can find tutorials about how to create a haze for your images. And like I said, MCP actions, skin softening actions, are a really good purchase. They're one of the only ones I've ever used that I thought were, not too plastic looking, not too intense. And cleaning up noses, your cloning tool. You can use your spot healing tool, your cloning tool, or sometimes the patch tool works. And I don't know if you've ever used any of those at all. If you haven't, I'll show you a tutorial on cleaning something up. Just let me know, and I'll create one. But yeah, that's kind of how I clean things up like that. So that's how I roll. So just let me know if you want me to do something, and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so let's get into your shots. Okay, so first shot, love this. This is super sweet, super darling. And this is great backlight. It's a good time of day that you shot it at, to get some really good backlight. When you're shooting with backlight, the sun is here kind of behind them. You just want to make sure, because sometimes, depending on the lens that you're using, and I don't see which one. No, it doesn't. You don't say which one you're using, but it will have a little bit of a hard time like trying to focus. So you just want to make sure that your subjects are in focus, because it looks like they're just slightly out of focus. And that's like one of the things that's distracting me in the image, is that they're a little bit out of focus. Like I can see this looks like maybe your mom. I think I've met her once before. Like her face is just a little bit out of focus. Looks like Graham's here is a little bit better. And same with your girls. But yeah, that's something to watch for when you're doing backlight. This is a great backlit image. It looks really, really good. And I like the bit of, light kind of coming through their hair. It's like I said, a very well done backlit image. As far as the shot itself, like, if you're wanting to make your images more dynamic, then you certainly have to think about how you place people, what's behind them. This is like really distracting. Like, I probably would have put them closer to the fence, this fence here, so that I could have, kind of captured more of them, because like I said, this right here is really distracting. I love the flowers here. And they're beautiful. And if you wanted to capture that, I would have had him sit down, and kind of thrown that in there to shoot at a different angle and maybe shot a bit more on top. That way I wasn't getting this in the background. And I probably, if I was going to hang on to this image as well, I would have cropped this kind of curve out as well. Those are just kinds of things to think about, because it's great. Their faces are great. Like, I love that it's very kind of natural looking, but the shot itself is very snapshot looking. So again, that has a lot to do with how you place your subjects and where they're at. And again, like I said, just these distracting elements, to kind of, those are things to think about, when you're placing your subjects. But again, love the backlight in this shot. Really, really good. Okay, next one. Okay, so I shot about 3 p.m. in Arizona, which is probably a little bright, and I can kind of see that in the background here. To make this shot better, I would have had her off the blanket. I would have taken this blanket off. I try not to have like my baby sitting on things, because I think blankets are just incredibly distracting. And this also kind of chops your image in half. You can kind of see where this line here sort of create, and this as well, kind of buckling up here. It just kind of like chops up the image too much. And so I definitely would have taken that out. You could have either sat her closer to the tree and, shot her from a little bit more on top, a little bit closer, or you could have backed up. Any sort of angle to avoid too much of this heat that you can see right here. And by heat, I mean, like, you can see the blowout here. It's starting to get a bit too bright up here. So, that's what I would have done, because the tree as it stands right here, it's kind of like cutting into her head a little bit. It's kind of like, it's kind of like neither here nor there in the image, which when something's like that in an image, it either needs to be in the image or it needs to not be in the image, if that makes sense. So, like I said, I would have either put her near this tree, sat her closer to the stump, and shot her from a different angle to avoid the heat in the background, or I would have completely adjusted myself so I wasn't getting this tree at all. And again, that's what creates it. That's what makes it a nicer image versus a snapshot. Because when you're just shooting something, you're not thinking about all the elements, and that is the difference in making a better image, is that you're thinking about any distracting element. And at the moment, it's the blanket and it's this tree, and a little bit of this heat up here. Everything else is very well exposed. She looks cute. It looks pretty sharp, that I can tell. It's not even really that necessary that you edit it, because it's, like I said, it's well exposed and looks good. But thinking about the things that like make it a great image versus a snapshot, that will totally help with kind of creating better images for yourself. So yeah, and I love that dress she's got on, so cute. But really, really cute. Just a couple of elements, really, to kind of change it up, to make it a little bit better. Okay, and this last shot. Oh, Arizona and its harsh light. Don't you love it? Okay, so early in the morning, which in Arizona may as well be midday because it's just so bright and so harsh. As far as like she goes, like this is great how she's fairly well exposed on this side, but all this over here is blown out. It's blown out here. It's really it is really difficult to shoot in harsh lighting like this. It's something, yeah, that most photographers kind of try to avoid. Now, saying that, there's a way to kind of get around it if you are out shooting. So, most people would try to expose for the lighter part of the image, so that this here would actually, it wouldn't be burnt out. Now, if you do that, then this part of her will be completely underexposed, as well as these darker parts in the image. They'll be completely underexposed. Now, if I'm out and I'm shooting my kids like this, you don't have time to mess with a reflector, because a reflector could have helped with this, or anything like that. You're kind of trying to capture the moment. So you kind of have to sort of take, the lesser of two evils. So you don't want to expose for the most bright, because like I said, you're going to get all these darker parts way underexposed, and by way underexposed, they'll probably be so underexposed that you won't be able to salvage them. Now, obviously, you want to be able to shoot your image, close to perfect each time that you can. But in situations like this, this is where your Photoshop comes in handy. So, if I was you, I would try to have exposed for this back part of her here. It's not as light as the lightest parts of the image, but it's also not as dark as the darkest part of the images. So you'll still get some underexposure on these darker parts, but they won't be so dark that you won't be able to salvage them in Photoshop. And it will still keep this stuff from getting completely burnt out. Now, it's kind of a trial and error game, because it's something you kind of have to look and then chimp, from the back of your camera to kind of see what's working, and kind of look at your highlights to see, if it's working or not. My best guess is that if you exposed for here, you would still be able to salvage the dark, because this is actually a really cute image. I don't love, the stuff in the background. I'm real funny about things in the background, so I don't love it. But it's like a perfect childhood image. And like this would look like, you could save this if you put this in black and white. You could kind of darken this up a bit through here, and this wouldn't matter in black and white. But anyway, I like the image. I think it's great. I think it's, I love the expression on her face and everything. But it's those blowouts that are kind of killing it. So that's something to think about the next time you're shooting. Even when you're going, oh my gosh, I don't have time because my kids are being my kids. Well, don't stress out about missing a moment. Just practice. Each time you've got your kids out, that you are practicing those. Even in harsh lighting, it's really good. It's a really good thing to practice. So that you can figure out where your best exposure spots are and meter for those. So yeah, that's something to think about the next time you shoot. I think this is really cute of her. So yeah, I think that will help you the next time. But fabulous week this week. I'm looking forward to week 3. Let me know if you have any other questions, or again, if you want me to do that tutorial for you, I'm happy to do that. Thanks so much. Talk to you later. Bye.